Welcome back to Inherited Dawn, the one and only place for your weekly Straw Hat Breakdown.
We are diving into Chapter 42 today, Yosaku and Johnny.
And let me tell you, this is it. This is the one. We are talking about the birth of an icon. The moment a doodle on a piece of paper becomes a declaration of war against the entire world.
A symbol that will one day make kings tremble. It's easy to forget that it all started right here on the deck of the Mary with some taint and a very, very bad artist.
It's the kind of moment that defines everything that comes after. You know, if you feel that same energy, if this flag means something to you, make sure you're subscribed. It's like raising the colors with us every week. You don't want to be left at port when we set sail.
A perfect way to put it. So let's get to the artist himself.
Right. So we open on the Going Merry and Luffy is bursting with pride. He's gathered everyone on deck to unveil his masterpiece, his vision for the crew's Jolly Roger. He's been working on this in secret, probably thinking he's the next Leonardo da Vinci.
There's a certain purity to his confidence. He genuinely believes he has created something magnificent. He holds it up with such a flourish, and it is just spectacularly awful.
It's glorious in how bad it is. It's like a child's drawing of a melted ghost. The crossbones look like broken twigs, the skull has this weird lumpy asymmetrical shape, and of course he's drawn the straw hat on it, but it just looks like a fuzzy yellow blob somebody sat on.
You can feel the secondhand embarrassment from Usopp and Zoro. Usopp's reaction is perfect. He just flatly says, "What is that supposed to be?" No politeness, just pure, unfiltered bewilderment.
Zoro doesn't even say anything. He just has this look on his face like he's reconsidering his life choices. Like, this is the man I swore my life to, and he drew that? It says so much about Luffy, though, doesn't it? He's not a visual person in that way. He operates on feeling and instinct. He knew they needed a symbol. He knew it had to have the straw hat. The core idea, the soul of the crew, was already in his head. He just possessed none of the physical talent required to translate it to paper.
And he's so proud. He's like, "It's our pirate flag." He has zero self-awareness about his artistic skill, which is so perfectly Luffy. All heart, all passion, absolutely no technical ability whatsoever. It's like how he fights sometimes. He knows he needs to punch the bad guy. The technique is secondary.
That's a fascinating comparison. His art is like his fighting style, pure, raw intent without any formal training or finesse. And just as Zoro brings refinement to their combat, Usopp is about to bring refinement to their identity. Exactly. The spirit was willing, but the hands were weak. And that's when our guy, Captain Usopp, the hero we needed, steps up to the plate. He sees this monstrosity and basically says, "All right, stand aside, amateur. Let a true artist handle this."
He even calls himself the crew's designated artist, which is a title I don't think anyone was prepared to give him. He is creating his own role on the ship moment by moment. First he was the storyteller, now the artist.
He's claiming his titles early. I love it. So he grabs the art supplies and starts sketching. But the first thing he draws isn't for the crew, it's his own personal Jolly Roger. And you gotta admit, it's pretty cool. I think it was a skull with his long nose, a slingshot behind it like crossbones, and a star in one eye.
It's a very Usopp design. It has flair, it has personality. It's a statement of, "I am here." You see that flag and you know exactly who is coming for you. Likely with a well-told lie and a lead pachinko ball.
It does. It's got style. And Luffy and Zoro take one look at it and just shoot it down immediately. Luffy's just like, "No way." And Zoro says something like, "We're not your personal pirate crew." It's so blunt, there's no room for argument.
And that right there is the crew dynamic in a nutshell. Usopp has this big ego and a desperate need for the spotlight, but Luffy and Zoro are the grounding force. They keep the core identity of the crew protected. It's the Straw Hat Pirates, not the Usopp Pirates. There's no malice in it, but it's an incredibly important boundary to set this early. The symbol has to represent the whole, and the whole is united under Luffy's dream.
You're right, there's no malice. It's just a simple fact. This is who we are. So Usopp, a little dejected but ever the professional, gets to work on the real thing. He takes Luffy's pure, heartfelt, terribly drawn concept, the straw hat on the skull, and he makes it real.
And the design he comes up with, it's the one we all know. The grinning skull almost laughing in the face of death, the classic crossbones, and Shanks's hat, the symbol of a promise, sitting perfectly on top. It's clean, it's defiant, it's perfect.
It's everything. And seeing them all get together, Luffy, Zoro, Usopp, and even Nami, who was probably just making sure they didn't spill paint everywhere, to paint it on the main sail, man, that's a core memory. That's not just a crew doing a chore, that's a family building its home. They're literally raising their sigil.
It's the moment they stop being just a collection of people on a boat and become an entity, a nation of 4. That flag is a statement to the world. When other ships see that, they will know who is coming. It's a promise of freedom to some and a terrifying threat to others.
Think about it. That simple drawing is going to be seen at Enies lobby, at Marineford. It's going to be the last thing so many villains see. It represents a complete upheaval of the world order. And it all started here, with Usopp sketching it out on a piece of wood. And to see it finally unfurl on the sail of the Going Merry, it just looks so right. This is the beginning. This is the official debut of the Straw Hat Pirates. Super!
It truly is. That image is the foundation for a legend. And immediately after this legendary, profound moment of creation and unity, Luffy decides he wants to shoot a cannon.
Of course he does. He's a simple man. The paint is barely dry on their new flag, and he's already looking for something to blow up. He spots this big, lonely rock out in the sea, and decides that's the perfect target. It's like a 5-year-old getting a new toy. What's the first thing you do? You see what it can break.
It's his ship, so he claims the right to the first shot. It's his prerogative as captain. He loads the cannon, he aims with all the focus of a hawk, and he misses. Completely. The cannonball just splashes into the water nowhere near the rock.
Not even close. And he just brushes it off, saying the cannon must be busted. Classic Luffy, never his fault. It's the cannon's fault. It's the rock's fault for moving. It's the ocean's fault for being too wet. So he tries again. Aims, fires, misses again. Even further off this time.
It's his classic approach to everything, brute force. He thinks if he just points the big loud thing at the target and pulls the trigger, it'll work. There's no concept of wind or trajectory or the curvature of the sea or any kind of skill. He just wants to see the boom.
And while Luffy is fuming about the broken cannon, Usopp is just standing there, quietly watching. You can see the gears turning in his head. He knows exactly what's wrong. He knows what to do. He's probably been shooting cannons in his head his whole life as part of his tall tales.
He steps up and asks Luffy if he can try. It's a quiet moment of confidence. He's not bragging or shouting. He just offers. And Luffy, frustrated and defeated by the inanimate object, just tells him to go for it.
This is Usopp's moment to shine, his first real contribution that isn't just telling a story. He takes his time, he adjusts the cannon's aim, you can see him feeling the wind, judging the distance. He's not just guessing, he calls his shot, points right at the pointy top of the rock, and says, "I'll hit that."
Such confidence. It's the first time we've seen this kind of unshakable certainty from him. It's not a lie, it's a statement of fact. And then he fires.
And it's a direct hit. Bullseye. The cannonball soars through the air and smashes right into the tip of the rock, just like he said it would. The entire thing just shatters into a million pieces. A beautiful, glorious explosion.
The look on Luffy's face must have been priceless. I don't think we see it up close, but you can imagine it. Just pure awe. The kind of look he gets when he sees a beetle with 7 spots instead of 6.
It's more than awe. It's recognition. He turns to Usopp, who's striking a cool pose, savoring the moment, and he just says it. "You're our sniper." Just like that. It's official. Position filled. No application necessary.
It's so profoundly important for Usopp's character arc. He joined the crew based on his father's reputation and his own tall tales. He was, in a sense, an imposter. But here, in this moment, he proves he has a tangible, elite-level skill that the crew desperately needs.
Yes, Luffy can't shoot for anything, and I doubt Zoro has ever even touched a cannon. They need a marksman. Usopp isn't just the funny liar anymore. He's a key combatant. He's the sniper king in training. This is his origin story as a functional member of the crew.
It's how Luffy builds his crew. It's a pattern we're already seeing. He doesn't hold interviews or look at resumes. He sees someone do something amazing, something that fills a void he didn't even know they had, and he just knows. He saw Zoro's strength, Nami's navigation skills, and now Usopp's marksmanship.
It's pure instinct. He recognizes greatness and he claims it for his crew. It's what makes him a true captain. He's not just collecting friends, he's building a perfectly balanced, superpowered machine of a pirate crew.
It's also interesting that Oda wrote a little author's note this week about buying a new stereo.
Oh yeah? What's he jamming to? Some epic sea shanties to get in the mood?
He just mentions it's cool and can handle dual mini-discs, which, for the time, was very high-tech. It's such a mundane, normal life thing to mention, right as he's creating these iconic, legendary moments in the story. It's a nice little peek behind the curtain. It grounds the epic in the everyday.
That's awesome. The creator of our generation's greatest epic is just excited about his new stereo. I love that. So after Usopp's big moment, we move to the galley, and the mood gets a little more serious. The high of blowing stuff up is worn off.
Nami, ever the pragmatist, brings up a very practical point. They're about to undertake a long voyage. They're growing. Their ambitions are huge. And there's one critical role they still haven't filled.
A cook. They have no one to manage their food stores, to make sure they're eating properly, to keep them alive on the open sea. Luffy probably just eats whatever he finds. Zoro can survive on sake and rice balls, but that's not a sustainable model for a long journey. It's the most logical, sensible next step.
Everyone agrees. Zoro, Usopp, Nami, it's unanimous. They need a chef. It's a matter of basic survival.
And they all look to their captain for the final decision, for the official declaration of their next goal. And Luffy, with all the seriousness in the world, looks them dead in the eye and says, "You're right. We need a musician."
The record scratch moment. The entire crew just stares at him in disbelief. You can almost hear the crickets. Nami's jaw is on the floor.
It is one of the funniest moments in early One Piece. It's such a sharp left turn from the very logical conversation they were having. Their lives are literally on the line, they need a source of sustenance, and Luffy's worried about not having anyone to sing pirate songs with.
But you have to think about what this means for his philosophy. For Luffy, a pirate's life isn't just about survival and fighting. That's the bare minimum. It's about the joy of it, the adventure, the freedom. And for him, music is a non-negotiable part of that joy. A party isn't a party without music.
Oh, I totally get it. It's a ridiculous priority, but it's his priority. A pirate crew has to have a musician to sing and party with. It makes perfect sense in Luffy's head. The others are thinking about their stomachs, but Luffy's thinking about their souls. He's playing the long game of morale.
The practical versus the romantic. That's the core conflict of the Straw Hat crew right there, embodied in that one exchange. Nami is screaming at him about how stupid that is, about the importance of nutrition. And then, suddenly, they're interrupted.
Yeah, a voice calls out from the sea. There's a guy on a small boat who's drifted up alongside the Mary. He's a swordsman and he looks tough. 2 swords, spiky hair, very intense vibe.
He challenges them. He's looking for a fight, or perhaps he's just lost and irritable. And Zoro, being Zoro, steps up without a word. He doesn't need to be asked. A sword is drawn, so he responds.
The fight is over before it even starts. It's not even a fight, it's a dismissal. The guy rushes in and Zoro just casually blocks his attack and disarms him in a single fluid move. No effort at all. It just shows the massive gap between Zoro and your average East Blue swordsman. It's a great power scaling moment.
And then Zoro looks at the guy properly, now that he's no longer a threat, and recognizes him. He calls him by name, Johnny.
And Johnny looks up, shocked, and recognizes Zoro. It turns out they're old partners, or at least old acquaintances from Zoro's bounty hunting days. This is huge. A little piece of Zoro's past just floated up to their ship out of the blue.
It immediately makes Zoro's history feel more real and lived in. He wasn't just wandering from dojo to dojo in a vacuum. He was working. He was part of a circuit. He had colleagues, a professional reputation. The world of One Piece suddenly feels a lot more interconnected.
Johnny is freaking out because he thinks he just picked a fight with the infamous pirate hunter Zoro, who he now sees is flying a pirate flag. The confusion must be immense. But Zoro is just calm, like, yeah, it's me. What's going on?
And that's when Johnny explains the real problem. He wasn't there to fight. He was in a panic. His partner, Yosaku, is on his boat, and he's terribly sick. He looks like he's on the verge of death.
He's pale, his teeth are falling out, old wounds are reopening. It looks horrifying, like something out of a zombie movie. Johnny is convinced he's dying from some incurable disease. He's completely lost.
He was so distraught that he went to that lonely rock in the ocean, the only landmark for miles, to be alone and think, to pray.
The same rock Usopp just blew to smithereens with the cannon.
The very same one. If they'd been a few minutes earlier, their first meeting with Johnny would have been explosive, to say the least. Luffy's bad aim might have actually saved a life.
The timing is just perfect. What seems like a random gag, Luffy missing the rock, Usopp hitting it, turns out to be a crucial plot point. The world feels so connected, even through these insane coincidences.
So Johnny is convinced his partner is a goner. He's about to give up hope. And then Nami steps forward. She takes one look at Yosaku, at his pale skin and bleeding gums, and she diagnoses it instantly. No hesitation.
It's scurvy. Just like that. So calm, so confident. While Johnny, this tough guy swordsman, is having a complete meltdown, Nami, the navigator, has the entire situation under control.
It's a brilliant moment for her. It shows her knowledge isn't just about maps and weather. She understands the sea. She understands the life of a sailor and the dangers that come with it. Scurvy was a real, terrifying killer for centuries of naval history. For her to recognize it and its cure shows she's not just a navigator, she's a true mariner.
For sure, she's not just book smart, she's sea smart. And she doesn't just diagnose it, she knows the cure. She tells Luffy and Usopp to get him some limes from their kitchen, stat. She takes command of the situation.
They don't even question it. They just run off and do it. It shows how much they already trust her judgment, especially after seeing her skills during the buggy arc. When it comes to the sea, Nami's word is law.
They squeeze the lime juice into Yosaku's mouth, and the effect is immediate. Color returns to his face. He sits up. He's completely cured. It's like a miracle.
It's a bit of an exaggeration of how quickly vitamin C works, of course, but it gets the point across perfectly. This deadly, terrifying disease that had Johnny in despair had a simple, mundane solution that only Nami knew. Knowledge is power.
Johnny is just floored. He can't believe it. He was ready to watch his best friend die, and a couple of limes saved him. He and Yosaku are bowing on the deck, thanking Nami profusely. They owe her their lives.
And this whole experience serves as a massive wake-up call for the rest of the crew, particularly a certain captain who was just advocating for a bard.
You can say that again. After Yosaku is back on his feet and they've all formally introduced themselves, the conversation about the next crew member comes up again. And this time, Luffy is singing a different tune.
The reality of what just happened hit him like one of his own punches. Yosaku, a hardened bounty hunter, almost died from a lack of proper nutrition. His own crew, his precious friends, could be next.
That musician idea is suddenly not looking so important anymore. The party can wait if everyone is too sick to stand up. Luffy looks at everyone and agrees. We need a cook.
It's a great moment of growth for him as a captain. He has his whimsical dreams, and they are essential to who he is, but he's not so lost in them that he'll let his crew suffer. When faced with a real, tangible threat to their well-being, he adapts his priorities. A true leader has to.
He learned his lesson, and it's perfect timing because now they have two guys who know the East Blue like the back of their hands. Luffy asks them if they know any good cooks.
And Johnny's eyes light up. He says he knows just the place, a very special restaurant.
Not just any restaurant, a restaurant on the sea, a floating restaurant.
The Baratier.
And he says it's not far from their current position, located strategically near the entrance to the Grand Line.
Bro, that's the hook right there. A floating restaurant full of cooks right on the doorstep of the most dangerous sea in the world? That place has to be full of the toughest, most amazing chefs you could ever meet. You don't set up shop there if you're just serving soggy fish and chips.
It's the perfect setup. It's not just a place to find a crewmate, it's a test. The Baratier is a threshold. It's a gathering place for pirates and marines and bounty hunters, all about to risk their lives on the Grand Line. If they can survive there and recruit someone, maybe they're ready for what comes next.
The end of the chapter just gives you that feeling of pure adventure. The goal is set. Find the floating restaurant. Get a cook. The crew is one step closer to being complete. The journey to the Grand Line is really, truly starting now.
The East Blue is a nursery, and they're about to graduate. The Baratier feels like the final exam before they are allowed to enter the real world.
It really does, and man, I can't wait to see what kind of place it is. Just the concept alone is so cool. A restaurant that floats on the ocean? Who builds that? Who works there? How do they get supplies? The engineering alone is fascinating.
It implies a certain level of toughness and self-sufficiency. You couldn't operate a business like that in such a dangerous part of the world unless you could handle yourself. The chefs there are likely more than just chefs.
That's what I'm saying. You don't run a seaside diner on the edge of the Grand Line without knowing how to throw a punch. This is going to be good. This is the official start of the Baratier arc.
The pieces are moving into place very deliberately now. Every decision, every new location is pushing them closer to their ultimate goal. The momentum is undeniable.
Okay, so that's the chapter. An absolute banger. We get the flag, the sniper, and the next destination all in one. That's a super dense chapter.
It's an incredibly dense and important chapter. So much of the series' identity is forged right here. I'm curious what everyone thinks is the most vital role on a new pirate crew. If you could only have one more person, is it the cook, the doctor, the musician? Let us know your thoughts in the comments.
All right, let's get into it. Predictions for Chapter 43. What do you think is coming next? I'll go first.
Go ahead.
My first prediction. We are going to arrive at the Baratier, and it's going to be way more chaotic than a normal restaurant. I'm picturing a full-on brawl between two different pirate crews happening in the dining room when the Straw Hats walk in, and the staff doesn't even blink. They're just mopping up blood around the tables.
I like that. The atmosphere being immediately hostile. Okay, my turn. I predict that the first person of note they meet from the Baratier won't be a cook, but a waiter or a manager who tries to throw them out because they can't pay. Luffy will have already ordered the entire menu before Nami can stop him.
Ooh, the classic no money problem. That's definitely a possibility. All right, for my second one, I think that Johnny and Yosaku are going to stick with the crew for a little while. They'll act as guides to the Baratier, and on the way, they'll tell a story about a bounty Zoro collected that made him infamous. Something that gives us a little more insight into his pirate hunter days.
That would be a great way to flesh out his past. For my second prediction, building on what you said about the chaos, I think we will be introduced to the head chef or the owner of the restaurant, and he will be a former pirate of some renown, someone who is far more strong than he looks and commands respect through sheer force of will.
That's what I'm saying. You don't run a seaside diner on the edge of the Grand Line without knowing how to throw a punch. This is going to be good. This is the official start of the Baratier arc.
The pieces are moving into place very deliberately now. Every decision, every new location is pushing them closer to their ultimate goal. The momentum is undeniable.
I could totally see that. A retired powerhouse who just wants to cook in peace. Okay, last one for me. We are absolutely going to meet the cook they recruit in the next chapter, and his introduction will involve him getting into a fight with a customer over wasting food. That'll be how Luffy knows he's the one.
A very specific moral code. I like it. My final prediction is that while the Straw Hats are at the Barati, another, more dangerous pirate crew will show up, not as customers, but to attack the restaurant. And this crew will have a captain with a significant bounty, someone who will serve as the main antagonist for this arc. The conflict will come to them.
Bro, that would be an epic way to kick things off. Setting the whole arc on a single contained stage like a floating restaurant. Man, whatever happens, we're on our way. The Barati awaits.